Hold on. Is that a Before we hop into talking about drones and libraries, we do have to talk about what a drone actually is. A drone, or an unmanned aerial vehicle, is a flying robot that is either controlled remotely or autonomously using programming and a built-in GPS. They're often associated with the military and can be used for surveillance, photography, delivery, and the monitoring of weather and crops. Drones have two big functions. They fly and they navigate. Using a power source, which is usually a battery, drones utilize propellers to displace the air around their lightweight bodies and fly. Their navigation comes from built-in computer parts that use GPS, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth to take off, land, and pathfind while in the air, and some even include collision detectors as well to make sure that they don't crash. Drones can get pretty pricey, gang, especially non-consumer drones. For our needs, we just need a durable beginner drone with a good camera, so we'll use the Ray Lietz, which is $149. This is cheap, especially because most entry-level drones are between $200 and $400. One last thing to note, because this drone only weighs 80 grams, no certification or registration is required for it according to FCCA guidelines. But why would we shell out $150 for this thing? Well, drones can do a lot for the library and its patrons. The Ray Lietz specifically is a good drone, as outlined by a librarian at Longwood Public Library, Allison Mirabella. She states that this drone is lightweight, affordable, and pretty safe, which is ideal for libraries. This specific drone also has a great camera, and drones are becoming more and more accepted as standard film equipment. Patrons will come to expect that if you have a set of film equipment, you're gonna have a drone to do aerial shots with. Aerial shots are also good for the library, as we can use drones for promotional materials. This includes sweeping shots of the outside of our building, but also the inside for library virtual tour videos and pictures where the actual tourer can take the place of someone walking through the library. Possible that the drone and its camera could be outfitted with an RFID scanner and used to shelf read stacks and alert staff to any misplaced items, which could save dozens of staff hours for them having to do it themselves. And while this drone is a little too small, drones can also be used to deliver and collect library materials from outside the library. Homebound or geographically isolated patrons could order drone service directly to their homes and have their materials picked up at home too. So it is really important that we hop on this technology now. Patrons and staff are also just simply interested in the technology. Drones are novel and new, and the experience of flying a drone around is enriching and may help staff and patrons discover a whole brand new passion. I've got two examples of libraries using drones successfully. First is from Chattanooga, a library that has drones that they don't lend out. Instead, they allow patrons to book a spot in their drone obstacle course, so patrons can still have the fun and challenging experience of flying a drone, but the library doesn't have to worry about the liability risk of loaning one out. And is from Villanova University. They have drones set up so that students can order library materials from their dorm through an app, and 20 minutes later, a drone will swing by their room carrying those requested materials, saving staff and student time and freeing up space in the library for holds. In terms of benefits, well, between the massive hours and hassle they could save, the new avenues for creative expression we could offer patrons and staff alike, and new advertising opportunities, and we can't forget the hours of entertainment that could be offered, a drone is definitely a worthwhile addition to the library's collection. We have to talk about troubleshooting now. In my opinion, testing would have a staff wave and a patron wave. In the staff wave, whatever staff is assigned to emerging tech or film equipment, or both, would be tasked with testing out the drone. They'd fly it around in different weather and conditions, check its battery life, and check how good the camera quality is, and then write down their observations, as well as any techniques for flying they could pass on to users. The patron wave. We'd send out an email to those signed up for the newsletter asking for testers, and attach a form to it so people could sign up. We'd screen the testers, make sure they're in good standing, and then set up a schedule for testers to take them out for a week at a time. They'd take the drone, fly them around, and after they'd return them, we'd email them a follow-up form to see what their experience was. Questions could include, did you enjoy the drone? Were the controls intuitive, or did you need a user's guide? Did you have any major issues? Do you have any tips for other users? Do you think 1 week was enough time to properly use the drone, or would you like a longer loan period? We have to talk about issues now, and there's so many here that not just technical, but also legal, that I simply just have to rapid fire them off, okay? The battery only lasts 13 minutes, the fans could burn out, the propellers could snap, the lens could break, the thin arms or propeller guards could snap, the sensors could go out of alignment, if it crashes the computer parts or battery could break. You can't fly them near airports, crowds, or military bases. They could damage people, property, or the environment. They're easily damaged if they smack into something, and there's a high chance of theft because of the price. In terms of maintenance, it would look like cleaning the body, replacing the propellers every so often, charging the battery between uses, making sure the cables aren't fraying, and checking the lens of the camera. It would also include checking that the software is up to date and that all of the sensors and computer parts are working well. Every time a drone is checked in, staff need to check the propellers to make sure they're not deformed, and every 200 checkouts or 200 flights or so, they need to replace them. Everything else needs a wipe down, and the body needs to be checked for damage. The batteries need to be checked and charged, and the cables need to be checked for damage too. Every 5 or so checkouts, or every 2 months, the drones need to be checked in by the librarian assigned to their collection for any software updates, and to make sure all sensors and computer parts are in alignment and are working well. They also need to check the batteries to make sure that they don't need replacing due to age and that they still have the same battery life of 13 minutes. The cables need to be checked in a similar way, especially to see that they're all charging properly. In terms of user education plan, no formal training will be planned on recommendation from Mirabella. Instead, we'll have a 3-pronged info approach. First, we'll post on our social media and our newsletter about the new drones and link videos and articles about drones and how to fly them. We'll put up signs near where the drones are stored that give information on drones, our use policy, and where to find more info. Emerging Tech Librarian will create a pamphlet that can be left near the drones or the front desk that has our policy, how drones work, how to fly them, and some extra resources on it so users can read them on their own time. Lastly, let's talk about what our policy will include. The policy will require that patrons and staff sign a contract before checking drones out, and that a staff member will witness this signing and check for patron understanding. Let's rapid fire these contract points. The patron will return all items and handle them with care. The patron will take responsibility for all damages, contract violations, and breaches of the law while flying. The patron will fly according to FCCA guidelines, including flying within eyesight at all times, flying away from military bases, airports, and crowds, not infringing on the privacy of others during flights, and flying away from other people. Drones will be rented out for 2 weeks with no renewals and must be checked in at the front desk and not any book drop slots. Staff will have a similar contract, though they must also note down what days they need it for, what they're actually using it for, and when they'll have it back. Okay, I'm almost done talking. Drones are new, they are useful, so there's no reason for libraries not to jump on them lest we get left behind by the rest of the technological world. They're just so important in what we're doing further down the line. Also, they're just kind of cool. Get some drones, kids.